I come in, sir?
Yes, please come.
Good morning, sir. Good morning, sir.
Morning,
Good morning,
Animesh. Please sit down.
Thank you, sir.
So, Animesh, you are coming straight from Rourkela?
Yes, sir. After that, I have joined Indian Oil Corporation. I've been working there for 2 years now.
Oh, where are you posted?
In refinery headquarters in Delhi.
In Delhi?
Yes, sir.
Oh, good. So, let's have some more introduction about you.
Sure, sir. Sir, as you said, I'm ANIMESH PRADHAN. And I currently serve as an information systems officer at Indian Oil Refinery headquarters in Delhi. And I come from a small town of Odisha called Talcher, where having completed my schooling from DEV Public School MCL Kalinga area, I pursued computer science and engineering, a BTech degree from National Institute of Technology, Rourkela. And although I have always been very academically inclined, my hobbies and interests include parliamentary debating, media advocacy, and freestyle dancing. And I aspire to have an active career in Indian administrative services.
Good. So, Animesh, you are working in Indian Oil. Should the country expect some more share, increase in the share of indigenous production through more exploration of oil?
Indeed, sir. The current geographical exploration that we have done is less than 10%. But having said that, the crude quality and the environmental implications of this exploration have to be taken into account, as well as that the technological marvels that we have, because this oil seabeds that we have are not very easily accessible or explorable. So in that situation, a trade-off has to be taken of whether you want to explore it within our own indigenous sources or want to ship it off. So at that prerogative, a mix of balance is necessary.
At least we have reserves. Do you think we have reserves, or we have exhausted all our reserves?
We do have reserves, sir.
Is there any target of share from 15% presently to some other number has been a policy of the government for oil exploration, for making ourselves less dependent on imports?
Sir, I'm not aware of the particular target, but last year we had a lot of reforms in terms of HELP and open acreage policies that try to improve the exploration policies in oil and gas sectors. I'm not aware about the specific target.
But you have been government has been inviting multinationals and private sector to come and explore, is it not?
Yes, sir.
All right. You're from Odisha.
Yes, sir.
Now tell me how it's said that faster development of any state depends on the political stability. Right?
Indeed.
Now, how Odisha you think has gained from the political stability?
So there has been a political stability, no doubt. And if we see in terms of not just economic, but also human capital development, Odisha has shown an inspiring story to the entire country. In terms of infrastructure development, reducing its multi-poverty indexes from 29% of poor in NFHS 4 to around 16% in NFHS 5, which is comparable to national average. And also, now we are not just trying to capitalize on the lower end of mining and manufacturing, but in Odisha government is trying to explore the services sector as well. Apart from that, the political stability has led to reduce in left-wing extremism activities, and their prerogative in disaster management has also come in handy because of its policies.
All right, good. Animesh, you had introduced also about your interest for parliamentary debate.
Yes, sir.
All right. Now, these criminal laws were passed without any parliamentary debate.
Yes.
Now, do you think that the laws have not been passed democratically and can be subjected to a judicial review?
Sir, I believe the laws were passed following all the parliamentary proceedings and in a democratic way. But having said that, it's the prerogative of the parliamentary functioning to include more discussions and debates. And continuing both the ruling parties and opposition parties' prerogatives in this particular debate, it would have been better if more debates would have happened. But I don't think there was anything unconstitutional about it.
All right. My last question, you are an engineer, computer engineer.
Yes.
Now, the EVMs and VVPAT are again in news. Every
Yes.
time the elections come, it is in use. The opposition parties have raised this issue.
Yes.
Do you have an idea what is the issue that they have raised this time?
So with VVPATs, the mostly issue is about on 100% counting of the VVPATs slips, which is as compared to like current 2% are being recorded. But even the Indian Statistical Institute had a lower benchmark of the counting, and the Election Commission has confirmed that if we go back to the 100% voting, it would lead to rather more human errors, and we'll go back to the.
But hasn't Supreme Court addressed this issue 5 years ago? Are you aware?
Sir, I'm not.
You are not aware of.
Current.
But tell me, you are a computer engineer. So a VVPAT flashes and shows the what has been pressed.
Yes, sir.
So since both are connected, is it possible that what you press and what you get can be different?
So theoretically, with some programming errors, it could be possible. But since in all of these investigations and countings which have been taken up, there has been not a single case of error. So I am confident the program is well built.
Thank you, Animesh.
Thank you, sir.
I'll pass on to
Yeah. Animesh,
Yes, sir.
your optional subject is sociology.
Yes, sir.
Now, if you could tell me, are you a supporter of a joint family or a nuclear family?
Sir, I think it's not a zero-sum game, but since I have lived all my life nuclear family, I might have a bias towards a nuclear family. But I think both can coexist, and even though we see a decline of joint households, but joint families have stayed in India. So there is a slight difference how we have evolved. So we can have both the same things at the same time as well.
Do you think that nuclear family is a evolutionary step from joint family?
Sir, I think
Or is that a separate one?
so. It's evolutionary, but we have nuclear households at this point growing. But the nuclear households that we have, they are still in touch with their extended relatives, and a lot of socioeconomic functions that the families go through, they are intertwined to each other. So joint families are intact. Only in terms of households, we are becoming nuclear.
Households have become.
Yes, sir.
Animesh, you are from Odisha.
Yes, sir.
In Odisha, you have a huge population of tribal people,
Yes, sir.
right?
Yes, sir.
So, how many primitive, what is that particularly vulnerable PVTGs, you know?
So particularly vulnerable tribal groups.
How many groups are there in Odisha?
So 13 PVTG groups, sir.
13. I think highest in India.
Yes, sir.
They are highest in India.
Yes, sir.
Have you heard something about government of India's initiative about where the government is giving special importance to these PVTGs? Any scheme? Any government scheme?
So recently, PM Janman Yojana was launched.
Janman Yojana. What
Yes.
is Janman?
Sir, it is a more comprehensive plan for the socio-economic development of the PVTG plans. Earlier, we had a piecemeal approach for their employment, education, and other socio-economic factors. Now it's a comprehensive plan so that we improve the economic sustainability as well as the social capital of these groups.
So, what were certain lacunas or certain problems that were being faced by these PVTG groups that the government was forced to come up with this? What is that? Janjati Nyay Yojana or something like that.
Yes, sir.
So, why government was forced to come out with this plan? What were some lacunas in PVTGs?
So one of them being the land alienation issue, where it has been seen, especially in Odisha as well, the amount of land the PVTG groups were holding that has declined to a large extent. The second being the low level of education and health penetration into them. The third being the employment opportunities for the PVTG is very subsistence level, and the agricultural productivity they witness is also very minimal.
Do you think the baseline survey of these PVTGs, of all PVTGs, 60 or 63 PVTGs in India, so baseline survey has been conducted for all or yet to be done for some groups?
So it's yet to be done. Even in case of Odisha, we see a lot of overlapping of the PVTG
Yes,
groups.
overlapping. I wanted to ask you about overlapping. What is this overlapping?
So overlapping of PVTG groups is based on basically when you say 13 groups of PVTGs are in Odisha, it might not be 13.
Yes.
It could be lesser than that. They have a similar ancestral history. The names might differ based on regional and temporal displacements. So a more strengthened survey is required.
Is there a case that in a particular state a group is a PVTG, but in another state it may not be a PVTG?
Yes, sir. That is also possible, sir.
That is also possible.
Yes, sir.
So all these anomalies are to be taken care of by this PM Janman or something.
Yes, sir.
My last question is about your Assembly of Odisha. There was a problem about this tribal people. I mean, I think some bill or something came up from the government side about non-tribal people, they can take up the lands of tribal people. Have you heard of that thing? Recently, there was some ruckus in your Assembly of Odisha and it was opposed.
Sir, I'm not aware about the specifics of it, but I had read reports about the decreasing land that has been acquired by the tribal people because of some loopholes in the Forest Rights Acts, where we see that non-tribal people getting up the land of the tribals.
Yeah.
So there was a opposition towards this.
Your opposition towards
Yes, sir.
Okay. Thank you, Animesh.
Thank you so much, sir.
So, Animesh, G20 photo shoot happened in front of that big wheel of Sun Temple. You are aware? On TV every day, pictures were there. Prime Minister Modi shaking hands.
Yes, sir.
So, there is a big wheel of Sun Temple. So, tell me, what was the significance of this big wheel? Why India chose big wheel as the symbol for its presidency, especially photo shoot?
So that refers to the Sun Temples, the Konark Sun Temples wheel, where it refers to the progress, like that wheel is a mark of progress and development. So it signifies that while India is holding the presidency of G20, we're marking a innovative progress and a culture of development.
Culture of development. Yes, you got it. Animesh, you are B.Tech in computer science.
Yes, sir.
Is it right to call computer science as engineering field? Normally, computer engineers getting B.Tech is fine, but computer science and B.Tech, why?
Sir, I think the discipline has evolved in such an extent that we need both the aspects of science and technology to go hand in hand. So in the course that I was a part of, we had a lot of theoretical understandings with collaborating with the science part of it. Also real life applications in building softwares that would help in the real life, solving the real life problems. So technology came handy in that, which encompasses engineering principles. So there was a sweet spot between both science and engineering. That's why I think it's very valid.
All right. Now your depth talks of parliamentary debate. One
Yes.
question was asked, and second question I am asking.
Yes.
You are going to give a debate in front of foreign dignitaries that India is the mother of democracy. So give your speech in front of foreign dignitaries, highlighting that India is mother of democracies of the world.
Sure, sir. I'll take a moment to recollect my thoughts.
Yeah.
So, given a chance, I would start off with that India is indeed the mother of democracies, because if you see the civilizational ethos starting from the Sabha Samitis that Mahajanapadas went through. Secondly, the Buddhist councils that we had across the centuries that included the democratic spirits at the ground root levels, where people's discussions, debates form the way of living. Women disprivileged were also part of these societies, which provided more inclusiveness, which are the democratic principles that India's civilization is based upon. Later on, India's democracy has been very flexible to the nuances of socio-economic developments. So, it's indeed is the mother of the democracies because its core principles have guided India to become the largest democracies, and its electoral participation is matured enough that is a manifestation of its acclaim.
Animesh, advocacy, media advocacy and journalism. So, do you think this fourth pillar of Indian democracy is corroding? And what is yellow journalism?
So, to answer the first question, I won't say that the fourth pillar of the democracy is eroding, but at the same time, there are a lot of concerns that have come up in terms of fake media trials, the infodemics, the fake news and sensationalization of news that has come up, and along with the menaces of paid news. In spite of that, I think media still in India has a role that helps in advocating for specific causes and creates accountability for the government. But we need to have more strengthened institutions for that. Secondly, the yellow journalism, sir, is a malicious form of journalism that uses techniques of sensationalizing and paid news in the domain of journalism, which was dating back to US-led media reports, where he used different bold fonts, color to sensationalize the news. So it's an unethical form of journalism.
As a computer science graduate, do you think social media is a necessary evil?
I agree, sir, social media is a necessary evil, but I think the necessity outpowers the evil into it. Today, social media is not just for messaging and putting pictures, but there is an entire social media industry in terms of economic power has also come up, which is estimated to cross around 350 billion by 2025. So with content creation economy, secondly, it is also a medium of social mobility for a lot of Indians, be it rural population or minorities or women, housewives. They also see this as a way of earning incomes. So that's a form of social mobility as well. Thirdly, I think the outreach of the government and sensitizing the public in cases of crisis, including disaster management, has also come handy due to social media. So it's more necessary than being called as evil.
One last question. 75 years. If I were to ask you 5 milestones of Indian economy, the way it is now growing. So can you list out 5 milestones that helped growth of Indian economy?
Sir, I think the approach that we took up with a mixed economy approach, where we tried our own indigenous industry to grow with heavy industries, investment was high, so that we have a lot of strengthened public sector units today. That's the first milestone, I would say. The second being the green revolution, where the agricultural productivity improved to a great extent. The third economic milestone, I would say, the economic liberalization of 1990s that opened up new doors for revenue. The fourth, I would say, the improved FDI policy, which improved our participation in global value chains and improved investments. And the fifth, I would say, the call for Atmanirbhar Bharat, that makes us self-reliant, but does not go back to the era of license Raj, but makes us a global power, economic power at the forefront.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Animesh, hockey has become very popular in Odisha in the recent years.
Yes, sir.
I mean, it has sponsored national team also. It has organized World Hockey Tournament. So, what could be the reason for development of hockey in Odisha?
Sir, in Odisha specifically, the reason first being we had a culture and history of craze for hockey because of players like Dilip Tirki, Deepgrace Lakra, Birendra Lakra, who have shown Odisha's pride. But secondly, if we see about 20-23% of population of Odisha is scheduled tribe. So hockey becomes also an important avenue so that we can bring these marginalized section into mainstream. So today sports in KBK districts and western Odisha and southern pockets of Odisha becomes a major source of revenue and social mobility for these masses as well. And thirdly, a lot of infrastructure development has come up because of hosting hockey events.
Yeah. Cool.
Yes, sir.
Now, Odisha, being on the eastern coast, is vulnerable to cyclones.
Indeed.
So what kind of this disaster cyclone resilient infrastructure has come up in Odisha, or any addition you would like to recommend?
Yes, sir. So Odisha's credibility in disaster management is applaudable.
Yeah.
I think the major pillars on which it sets is first the penetration of early warning systems is very deep and it's being regularly monitored. The second is the community preparedness, where the mock drills and the disaster evacuation plans are not just made at a top-down approach, but bottom-up approach where locals and district administration have a wider say in it. And in case of what improvements that I would like to sort is that we have still not gotten into the disaster sustainable buildings. We have not done enough research in Odisha itself. And thirdly, the build back better phenomena that we see in disaster management is not up to the mark even in Odisha, where we see even after filing and funny, even the losses were less, but it took a lot of time for the economy of those population to come up and redevelop after that. So that is something that we have to invest upon.
Animesh, have you heard of this Marcos? What is this Marcos? Recently they were in the news. Marcos.
Yes, sir. So this is an investigating agency where it was a recent news where piracy attacks were there on the ships. So it's an organization who does anti-piracy investigation.
Investigate. Okay. Now, tell me the role of corporate sector in environmental conservation, environmental protection. Some initiatives, some concrete action, institutionalized action taken by corporate sector for environmental issues.
Yes, sir. Sir, apart from the corporate social responsibility, which is a mandated effort under Companies Act, Section 135, a lot of initiatives have taken under that. Since I come from Indian Oil, a lot of examples that I see is that Indian Oil had a role in cheetah relocation. In Indian Oil's mascot is...
That is one. The CSR is one. What other than that CSR?
Other than that, sir, I can't recollect now.
Okay, no problem. Now, my last question, deep fakes.
Yes, sir.
Now, deep fakes are now, there are a lot of apprehensions that deep fakes can be misused for creating social disturbance, social disharmony, particularly now elections are coming. So even Bangladesh, somebody was telling Bangladesh, it has created some problem. So how to control this situation?
So deepfakes, both being a technological problem, is a social and economic problem as well, I agree. I think the major share of development has to come from these intermediaries, the technological intermediaries, where their algorithms have to have a counter algorithm where they watermark the deepfakes products, and these social media intermediaries, they mandate that if this is a video is generated by deep learning algorithms. Even OpenAI, which is the ChatGPT.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you, sir. So, good morning, Animesh.
Good morning, sir.
So, can you highlight role of MSME sector in employment generation in India?
Yes, sir. So MSMEs employs around 11 to 12 crores of the Indian workforce. And if we see the normal corporates which are based elite and urban oriented, MSMEs are located in far-flung areas in rural population. So the local industries have grown because of the MSMEs. So both women are disprivileged, Dalits and even Adivasis have gotten their share of economic empowerment because of MSMEs.
Okay. Financial inclusion. Can you highlight the impact of financial inclusion on poverty in India?
Yes, sir. Sir, a lot of initiatives for financial inclusion. For example, the PM Jan Dhan Yojana, which has now around 45 crore plus of applicants. So that has made the people from rural areas and the borrowing cost has come down, so that they can now take loans at a meager cost and improve the agricultural productivity, or the priority sector lending has improved, so that at rural places and displaced communities can produce better and have lesser borrowing costs, and they do not fall into the debt traps. Secondly, I'd say the digital infrastructure in terms of UPI has also improved the financial inclusion. We see from local vendors at far-flung areas to corporates are using it. So that has also helped in poverty decline as well.
You are a student of sociology, Animesh, right?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So WHO has declared loneliness and social isolation as a global health threat.
Yes, sir.
So why is it so, and how to address the issue of social isolation and loneliness?
So from a sociological point of view, I think there's an individualization that's going in society where our social bondings are becoming slower because we are now self-sufficient with the digital era where the entertainment or just like there is no need for community gatherings anymore to seek a lot of physical and social solace. But what happened is that how can that be solved is that proactively have to take community gatherings and invest upon community halls at both rural and urban places. A lot of sports can be a medium where you could include a lot of communities together so that these can be helpful. Secondly, I think mental health prevention, initiatives around mental health could be more strengthened, where people facing through anxiety, loneliness could seek out for help, and cost of the psychiatric counseling and counseling sessions could come up lesser by government's intervention, where we can fight with loneliness in a more strengthened way.
Now, coming to international affairs, the proximity of relationship between Russia and China, how do you think is going to impact India?
So we have seen a larger nexus with China and Russia because of their proximity to each other. And even we saw that the oil prices, the discounts that we are getting because of Russian imports are coming down because a lot of their imports are now being competed against China because of its proximity as well. But I think India-Russia relationship is a matured one. And in spite of the proximity, everything, even though it changes, India-Russia relationship won't change, as Honorable Minister says too. So even though there are challenges, I believe the relations are strengthened.
Okay, my last question, Animesh. Why do you wish to join civil services?
Sir, my choice to choose civil services has turned from a dream job to a matured aspiration. Mostly because I feel that if I would be able to make an impact to the people, not to me or not just people around me, but beyond that, that would make my life more meaningful, both personally and professionally. And secondly, I feel that I had a beautiful time at Indian Oil, but my scope of work was very limited and impact was indirect. So to make my work's impact more targeted, direct, and having diversity of opportunities and challenges, that excites me to join Indian Civil Services.
Thank you, Animesh. I pass on to Chairman.
Thank you, sir.
Animesh, you have mentioned about some media advocacy and journalism.
Yes, sir.
So my small question is, why the trustworthiness of media has been on a rapid decline, not just in India, but worldwide? Is it too much of freedom of expression, or you think there are some other reasons?
Sir, I don't think it's too much freedom of expression, but rather than being responsible as a fourth pillar of democracy, they have become corporate houses where gross sensationalization and fake media trials has become the norms, because that's what their TRP drives them. And also we have seen that in Indian cases also a lot of foreign fundings have come up to tarnish India's democratic nature. So since our economic transactions are becoming more seamless, so that is also an avenue that we have to look into.
So Animesh, we are about to close our interview. But before that, if you think that any item, anything mentioned by you in your DAF has not been covered by us by way of a question, you can always tell me. I can ask you one last question.
Sir, I think since I come from Indian Oil, if you want to ask something about oil and gas.
All right. So I asked you about oil exploration and our input and all. Now tell me, do you see that our downward relations with Iran has something to do with our stoppage of oil imports from them?
Yes, sir. Because of this US sanctions on Iran, post then there has been a decline of our imports from Iran.
And my second small point is, we are dependent on Russia for oil.
Yes, sir.
Primarily because of the policy that we will go for the cheapest oil.
Yes.
But Russia has been our ally.
Yes.
Don't you think it will be difficult for India to withdraw from Russia? Suppose after Ukraine war ends and the prices shoot up again and we have a better alternative in terms of more economical oil prices.
Yes, sir.
You think India will swiftly withdraw from Russia, or will it be difficult for India to withdraw?
Sir, I think the domestic interest would again determine our decision, and India would be strategic enough to change their allies in terms of procurement of oil, because the same thing happened where Russia was not even in the top 5 of our importers. Now we import around 40% of our crude from Russia. So in that case, I think India's diplomacy is matured enough to swiftly the process.
So Animesh, we close our interview. Thank you. You may proceed to the next room. We'll call you again in few minutes for the feedback.
Sure, sir. Thank you so much.
So Animesh, how have you done today?
I think, sir, I could have been more coherent a couple of times. There were some more hummings and which I could have been more structured in my answers.
Okay.
Mostly, I thought at the end of the interview, I was less coherent as compared to my earlier answers.
You were exhausted?
I was not exhausted, sir. I lost the momentum midway, I think.
But Animesh, this may be your internal thought, and which is good again. There's always a scope for improvement. But you have done excellently well.
Thank you.
And you are one of the rarest interviewees who have impressed us to that extent. You are young, but you are matured. Your knowledge is very good. The quality of content is good. Structured, yes, you may always structure your answers. But we, as far as structuring or non-structuring is concerned, we are very conscious about this aspect, and we generally, every second candidate we tell this. But incidentally, none of us has noted this particular thing, that you were lengthy or you were unstructured. So the content was so good, to the point, very balanced approach you had, good knowledge about your subject, and even very wide variety of interests you had. You're doing very good. So Animesh, I, on behalf of panel, would like to say that you were almost flawless and more than ready for your interview on 10th.
That's really a confidence.
That's all from my side.
Thank you, sir.
Animesh, you are a very, very bright candidate.
Thank you, sir.
You have tackled all the questions so nicely. Very balanced answers, well structured. I found your answers very, very well structured. Laden with knowledge, laden with content, analysis. Beautiful. Very good. You have done very, very well.
Thank you, sir.
And I'm sure you will do very well in your interview also.
Thank you, sir.
All the best.
Thank you, sir.
Excellent, Animesh. That is the only word I can use. You were on dot in all the questions. Especially, I liked your 2 replies. Indian economy during last 75 years and the media. That reply, in fact, counter question on media was only this, that private ownership of media, is that causing the corrosion in the media pillar? You know, you covered that very well. Just keep it up. Your body language, smile, personality, delivery, balance, maintain it, my dear. You
Thank you so much. That means
you are very good.
thank you so much. Thank you, sir.
I think same here, Animesh. Nothing more to add.
Thank you, sir.
Just brush a small point that Marcos I asked,
Correct, sir.
तो थोड़ा उसको देखिए. वो Marcos basically it is a super commando force
Yes, sir.
of Navy.
Yes, sir.
Which,
Yes, sir. I'll read. I just saw in the newspaper. I should have read
हाँ,
it.
तो उन्हें पूरा वैसे you were quite close to that. You mentioned about that naval something. You mentioned about that. Yes. So they are basically our super commando force. The people are taken from Black Cats and many other. Right.
Yes, sir.
All the best.
Thank you so much.
So, Animesh, you tackled all the questions very nicely in terms of sociology, IR, economics. So, you were very good. You are just ready. So, just revise in last 2 to 3 days, and I wish you all the best.
Thank you so much.
So, Animesh, any questions from your side?
So the last question, when you asked that you want to ask anything, if I've asked I was in a similar position, real interview, should I tell them to ask me anything, or should I say that?
You should.
Okay.
Preferably you should.
Okay.
You know, that conveys two messages. One is that you are ready to take another.
Okay.
And number two, you have been given an opportunity to, to share your knowledge even more.
Correct.
And on the contrary, if you say, no sir, it's all fine, which means, you are wanting to go away, and you may think that you are pleasing the panel by saying, sir, no, you are very good. You don't have to mention that also, because sir, you have covered almost everything. Even if you are not able to think of anything, there is no hard and fast that on the spot you make a weird statement and say, ask me anything, which is very petty and trivial. So you can say, no sir, thank you so much.
Okay.
And if you get an idea like Indian Oil you mentioned, was a good point. Instead of Indian Oil, you could have mentioned about oil.
Correct, sir.
Because I had already asked one issue on oil exploration.
Correct, sir.
So maybe at times, by the time you finish, you don't remember what was the first question. याद नहीं रहता.
Yes.
आप फ्लो में आ जाते हो. तो उसमें बेटर ये है कि वाइडर एरिया बता दो. Sir, I am in the oil industry. If you could ask something more about oil. ठीक है ना? Instead of Indian Oil.
Yes, sir.
Indian Oil is a company.
Yes, sir.
You are a bureaucrat. You
Yes.
don't talk about a particular company. You never name them also.
Yes,
You name the sectors.
yes, sir. That makes sense.
But it will be good if you ask.
I'll keep that in mind.
Yes. What else?
Sir, any improvement? Like, because I felt that while especially answering the final questions, I was less coherent.
Let's discuss what is the final question.
Sir, when I was being asked by sir in most of the questions, I think I was not like as compared to the earlier answers. While I was answering sir, I just said, I don't know. I don't think I was exhausted, obviously, but I was not coherent.
The questions which generally I was asking were of it required thinking. They were more of opinion based. So that's why you were not stating straight away. But the way you answered, you thought well and you answered, it was pretty good.
Okay, sir.
So do not underestimate that. Even the question on sociology, on loneliness and social isolation, your answer was pretty good.
Okay, sir.
Even Russia-Ukraine question also, the answer was pretty good. You might think that it could have been better, but it was good.
Okay, sir.
So, Animesh, since you are again time and again worried about your coherence, I would say it can happen in the main interview also.
Yes, sir.
I mean, God forbid, but you may get stuck in some question.
Yes, sir.
So, in such cases, you give a pause, 2, 3, 4 seconds. Think as to what you would speak. Frame your answer, even if it is a short answer, because you have less knowledge about it, and then start. You need not be prompt. That either question, it's not like Google, 0.0003 seconds it has responded. There is no such parameter in the interview.
Yes.
They want a good answer. So, reasonable time before every question you can do, if you need.
Yes.
But you would not need that because you have a treasure of knowledge. Because when you start abruptly, you always tend to make a mistake. And even if suppose to the panel, we are not able to track that you're coherent, not coherent, but you see, psychologically, I consider it very important because your mind keeps telling you, what, Animesh?
Yes, sir.
You had to do this mistake here only.
Yes, sir.
And with the result that your next performance, goes down.
Yes, sir.
So don't let that opportunity also come when you condemn yourself
Yes.
during the interview. अरे अब तो बिगड़ गया, अब तो मेरे मार्क्स कम हो जाएंगे, IAS भी नहीं मिलेगा, पता नहीं क्या मिलेगा. ये सारा थॉट आपका माइंड घुर घूमता है.
Yes, sir, indeed.
Is that right?
Yes, sir.
वो मत लाना.
Sure, sir. I'll keep that in mind.
Close all your other windows, open only the windows of knowledge.
That will be helpful, sir. That's
Okay.
helpful advice.
Anything else?
I think so we covered it.
So Animesh, we have given you very high percentage. I think this is one of the highest in this season, 72%. We have given higher than this also. And
But
in
not,
UP
not in this season, sir.
No,
Last year.
last year. And UPSC also gives more than this.
Yes, sir.
They have given 210 or 12 also.
Yes, sir.
So you are capable of that. Why I am saying this is because you are capable of going beyond 72%.
I'll do my best.
Keep confidence, self-confidence in you.
Yes.
All right.
You will keep your beard
No, sir. I'll go clean shirt.
clean shave. उसमें मैं आई वुड सजेस्ट कि अगर आपको एक मॉक कोर लेना तो उसमें शेव करके जाओ
टाइम
ताकि थोड़ा सा ना आपका ड्रेस केवल क्या होता है कि आप 10 को ही है ना, अगर आप मॉक नहीं लेना तो ठीक है. इफ यू आर गोइंग फॉर अनदर मॉक तो शेव करके जाओ.
Okay, sir.
क्योंकि कई बार क्या होता है कि आप जैसे उसी दिन शेव करते हो तो थोड़ा सा आपको समथिंग ऑकवर्ड नहीं लगना चाहिए ना.
Just shave tomorrow.
Yes, sir.
It will
My
be better.
couple of initial mocks I gave clean shave.
Okay, so
Achha,
that's
okay,
good. Okay, so that's
Then it's
Okay, sir. So I'll keep that in mind.
So all the best anyway.
Thank you so
all
much.
the best.
All the best.
Thank you.
all the
Thank you so much.